Excellent. I don't know how you're going to follow that up, Rod, but
Mr. Cummings, good luck.
Our transportation director, Rod Cummings, is going to give us his monthly report here tonight. So, if there's supposed to be something coming up there.
Didn't say I knew anything about technology. There it is. First of all, I'd like to thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak to you. Before I start, I want to introduce you to Chuck Lewis. Chuck is one of our bus drivers slash mechanic slash computer guru, parts inventory specialist. And Chuck is so nervous that he hasn't took a breath since 6 o'clock.
It's a tough group.
He's been red in the face. One of the things that I wanted to tell you, when I took this job, the first several days that I was on the job, I thought, what in the world have I got myself into? And I said that 3 or 4 times each day for the first 2 weeks. Then I started looking around a little bit, and I started seeing some things that I thought we could do to make the place better. What I'd like to do this evening is to go over a few of those things that we put in place and explain why we've done what we've done. When I was looking around over here, accountability seemed to pop up in my mind all the time. One example, if we go to the next slide. One example is when I was looking at the diesel fuel and the gas that we use. The way that we used to do it is we had a little key that was like a pop machine key. You'd go put your key in there, you'd turn the tank on, you'd fill up the car, you'd fill up the bus with gas. And then they'd write it down on a piece of paper and turn it into the secretary. Well, I thought, you know, if you're not an honest person, I could see how you could have a lot of farm equipment running and you could end up stealing a lot of diesel fuel. So what we did, we started looking around for a way to fix this problem. One of the things that we came up with was the new system, and it's called Fuel Master. But with the Fuel Master, what we can do is we can tell who's getting the diesel or the gas, what vehicle it's in, how often they're doing, and we can run our reports. The way that it works is you put a key into the system that's specific for that vehicle, whether it's a car or whether it's a bus, and it recognizes that specific vehicle. Then every employee has an ID number that they put in. So it tells what employee is putting how much gas or diesel into those buses. Well, it even will tell us, and I've done it once or twice because the car that I drive sometimes doesn't, the fuel gauge doesn't work, and I'm afraid that I'm going to run out of gas somewhere, so that's why I drive it. But if you put the wrong mileage in, it'll send you a message and let you know, wait a minute, you're using too much gas. So it has a checks and balance thing for us. Unfortunately, it's taken us a little bit to get it up and running. Everything's working now. Tammy pulled the first report so that we can see each bus driver, how much diesel that they're using, how many miles that they had driven. One of the other things,
One thing, Rod, on that,
yeah.
is that available or at each location?
Yeah, that's at all 4 of our sites. We have gasoline and diesel out here. Then at Duval, the other ones is just diesel, but at Duval, it's up and running.
So it doesn't matter where you get this?
No, it doesn't matter. If I'm a parts driver and I'm over here and I need diesel, I can get it here or any other pump. Okay. One of the other things that I noticed when I was walking around and trying to figure out what to do was that the garage. The first thing I said when I saw that thing was, wow, I can't believe this. You know, when you walk into the garage and when you see the system that we've had in place and the things that were going on, or potentially that were going on, again, it screamed accountability. There was really no system in place, nothing to follow, nothing to do. In the past, what would happen, when people come in to have their bus worked on, they do a work order, they throw it in a basket. The mechanics will go pick one up out of the basket. They would do the work, they put it back in the basket or file it back into the office, and that was it. You didn't know. You didn't know who was working on the bus. You didn't know how much time it took to fix the bus, what parts were being used, and all these other things. So what we've done originally is that we've kind of tried to restructure the way that we do things. And one of the things Chuck's going to show you here in a minute is that we have a program in place. And it's a work in progress. It's going to take a little while. But what we do now is when a work order is turned in, Chuck puts it into the system. The system will generate a work order for the mechanics. The mechanics will get that work order. When they complete that work order, they turn it back into him. Any parts that they have to have that are used on the bus, when we order parts, when they come in over there, Chuck scans them into the system. It's run by the computer so that when he takes it out of the bin upstairs and they put it on a bus, it will tell us that alternator or whatever part was put on bus number, whatever the bus number was, so that we can kind of watch and see where those parts are going. You know, obviously when we're looking, and another feature that it has, and Chuck will show you here in a minute, but another feature that it has is that as this system goes along, you know, we've just started it, and we usually keep our buses 11, 12 years, but we'll have a complete work history of everything that was done on that bus. From the time that we start putting it into the system to the time we get rid of the bus. You know, if we have an alternator or something that's always causing us a problem on a specific bus, and we go back and we look at the history of it, our driver or mechanics will be able to say, wait a minute, it's something besides the alternator or whatever part it is. Maybe we need to look and see what's causing that rather than keep replacing the same part. So in the long haul, it's going to save us money. We have accountability now because we know where our parts are going. It automatically reorders things when we get down in our inventory so that we've got those essential things that we need. I say it's a work in order. My goal is, as we go along with this, I want to do away with the written work orders. I want to eventually have it where that we have a link on our website. I've got a computer set up over in the office that a driver can come in or they can set at home. I've got this wrong with my bus. I can type it in. It automatically sends it to Chuck by email. He puts it into the system, and then our mechanics will work on it. Because there have been times, believe it or not, that people will say that they've turned in a work order when maybe they haven't. So we kind of like to eliminate that too and make sure that we're tracking what's being done. Get the next one over. And Chuck does our handy dandy work, but he makes sure that he puts the work orders in, the parts and all that kind of stuff. If you go ahead, show the before and after picture first. Okay.
This is what we have now. We've actually got everything numbered. I got everything cleaned up and trying to get it all together. My goal is to almost look like Napa upstairs, but you know,
Yeah.
and it may never happen, but hopefully it will.
No. It's just us, don't worry about it.
That's our garage, believe it or not.
Oh, yeah.
This is what we look like
When you started.
when we started.
Could you turn that light out so we can see that a
And,
little bit better? Because this is, I want them to
This is
see.
the
I want them
before,
to see
huh?
what it, yes, that's what it looked like
Alright.
before.
Yeah, that's the before.
And these are piles of shocks, all different part numbers, okay, that, you know, had to be put in the system and everything and got together. And now we're using these shelves as, you know, parts, and all the bins are numbered, and the row itself is numbered, like row one. We can go into the system, and if they're looking for an alternator, we can go to row one, shelf A2, and there's the alternator. They don't take all day long looking for it, or, you know, call International and order 2 more when we've got 6 on the shelf, you know. And that's what we kind of want to get away from too. It's so easy for us to call International and then bring us one in 35 minutes, and we've got 6 laying upstairs that we don't know about because it's all like this.
Pull up the after picture.
Yeah, now, that's, that's what I was gonna say. Now
I
we
gotta
know
brag
what
on
it's
Chuck.
before.
Chuck has really,
Yeah, look at that.
really made a big difference.
There's a difference for sure.
And how
Yeah.
long has he been at this, just organizing?
Well, I'm sorry, what?
How long has he been doing this?
Chuck, how long we had you there? This is, when did we start there? Last spring sometime.
But he's only there, what, how many hours a day?
Yeah, and what is it, 2 hours, he does that 2 hours a day.
Yeah.
That's
Uh,
amazing.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna put a plug in, they told me not to, but I'm gonna do it anyway. You know, as much as he gets done in 2 hours, and as much as he's worked to get that organized, I believe you'll see too, the amount of money that position is gonna save us in the long haul. It really deserves to be more than just 2 hours a day. You know, personally, I think a full-time position, but at anything, you know, he needs more time than what he has.
Well, what does his day consist of right now? Just lay out a typical day.
He's the
Chuck.
bus driver slash,
I mean, so, give me
I
a schedule.
actually go and pick up my kids in the morning. I take them to school, and I come over here to the bus garage, and I work until time to go get my kids in the afternoon, and then I take them home. So,
You stay pretty busy, didn't
he stays pretty busy.
It's very possible we might work something out where we could do the maintenance system that way, and might, a full-time position might be worthwhile. So I like this accountability deal here, where this job tells you what material went on,
That's right.
which were,
And the thing that I saw with this when we started it was, and the way that I tried to approach it with these guys over here, I'm not watching those guys as far as what they're doing. We're trying to put a system in place where that if somebody says that they're taking something or something's missing, that we can prove that it's not.
right.
And that's, you know, that's the way we kind of look at it. Go ahead and pull your program up. The program, I want to do a disclaimer, I guess. What you're about to see, he had on his laptop for the program. All of our data from all of our buses wouldn't download to this. The file was so big, so he just put a couple buses in there so you could kind of see what's going on. But I asked him to run a report, and this is from, I think, the 1st to the 15th. What, Chuck, I don't have my glasses on. But with this program that we have, you can see that it's broken down by mechanic and the number of hours over here on the right. We put a rate down because ultimately we want to be able to kind of figure our costs too as we go along. We want to be able to figure out how much money, where do you have one? We want to be able to figure out how much money we're spending on a bus versus, you know, in the long haul. Go ahead, Chuck.
this is actually the program we're using. This is the parts list of what, like you said, this is my actual laptop I had at home. And I tried to put the program on here last night and it wouldn't all go on. So I sat down last night and put a couple of parts in, a couple of buses and stuff so I could actually show you. But we have so many more parts over there and everything entered into the system. But when we can do work, when we do the work orders from here, you know, we add it just add the work order, and you just input all the parts, anything the mechanic's done to the bus number, and then it keeps all this information on that bus, who did what to the bus, whenever, the time it took them to do that. If it took us, like 6 hours to put a windshield wiper on, maybe, we can look into something, just all kinds of different things you can do with the program.
Are you the one that enters all that information?
Yes. Yeah, I have all the buses in, I got with the state, and they actually send me the stuff that I need. They'll email me the whole entire program, and when I put it in, all of our buses are linked to International. So anything that International does to the bus, when we send it over there, we have everything here. And also anything we do, like if we put an alternator on it and we can't figure out the alter, what's going on with it still, International knows that we put that alternator on already. We did it, our mechanic, whoever the mechanic was that did it, and all that stuff. So we're really got a linked system, good, and we got a good reputation with International and stuff, and I'm working with some.
And it's really neat too, because we can't pull it up because we're afraid we'll order something. But you can pull up on the web, you can actually pull up a diagram of each bus. And if there's a nut or a bolt or something that we're looking for, the mechanic knows that we look it up. That way we're not ordering the wrong part. They're going to send us the part that we need specifically for that bus. And that has, and will save us money in the long haul too.
I wished I could bring that up, because it actually shows that school bus, and it breaks it down into, like, if you're working on the engine, and then to the carburetor, and then to the bolt on that carburetor, and then to the washer, all the way down to, even if.
It's just absolutely phenomenal. Sometimes you guys, when you're here, and Chuck's here, don't rely on me, but let him come over and look at his bins, but let him show you the program as far as how that works. It's really neat.
And how long has he had this program?
This program, this summer, right at the end of the year last year, we started this program. And then we did the summertime, he was one of the summer part-time positions, so that he worked on it during the summertime too. One of the other things that we've done in the garage, and we've just started the last 2 inspections. And before, as I said, when the mechanic worked on it, it was just potluck, whoever got it. Well, we've taken the number of buses that we have. There's 46 regular routes, and then our spares, and we've divided those up into, I've got 3 mechanics, into 3 piles, so that each mechanic has their own bus that they're specifically responsible for. That doesn't mean that everybody else doesn't work on it, or everybody else doesn't pitch in, but that means that if something's wrong with that bus and it doesn't get fixed, then you tell me why. If we have an inspection, which we just had 2, and one of your buses doesn't make it, you and the driver tell me why. Our goal is to try to have fewer red tags, fewer problems with the buses, and by them having a specific bus to deal with, the state inspector told me they're taking ownership in it. Those guys don't want their bus to fail, and the last 2 inspections have gone well, and he says he thinks it will work out well for us doing it that way. But they have 19 buses apiece. Even with the 19 buses, I think there's 13 or 14 that are on a regular route for each one of them, plus the spares. They have been able to, because we split them up, and every one of them do the PMs, they call them, the preventive maintenance stuff. They're able to do that more often. The inspector tells me that the more often that we do that, the less mechanical problems that we'll have in the long haul. So by increasing that, it will help us down the road with some of our problems.
I noticed that Chuck's on here as a mechanic, so is this like if you don't have things to enter into the system or something?
He does do that. And two, I didn't mention, I don't think, our cleaning supplies. That we have them in our program too. So if a bus driver comes and gets the good stuff or whatever.
Heavy duty glass cleaner right there. And that shows that it's in our parts cage in the cleaning department, because I actually have a cleaning department upstairs for nothing but the cleaning department, cleaning supplies and stuff for the buses.
Yeah.
So
Did you devise this system yourself, or what here?
Well, I put all the information in myself, and that would be wonderful if I owned this.
Yeah, that would be
Well, I'm talking about how you organize the upstairs there.
Yeah.
International-
All this, yeah.
International has, well, we had to pay for it, but they helped us with it. And then we have to pay a yearly fee, which is about $600 or $700, I think. But they gave us this system. They sent somebody else to help us to start to get organized. But Chuck's done all the work.
Well, I'm just talking about the before and after pictures that,
Yeah, Chuck did all that.
yeah, and how, what's gonna go where and all that.
Yeah, Chuck's done all that.
Okay.
This is similar to the program the military uses. It's,
Probably.
yeah, very similar.
Yeah, I see International is the one who runs this, or they purchased it from another organization, and it's used quite a few places. When we were looking at these programs last year, I went to Boone County, they used the older version of this. I went to Wood County and talked to them, you know, and this one seemed to be, especially since we're using international buses, I think we made a good choice.
It just does so much, I just can't show you here because, you know, like I say, we're limited to what it does on this, but it just does so much, we can track so much stuff and keep up with more.
We can tell you're enthused about it.
I like it, I really do, I mean,
You know that you're breathing?
He's turned more, he's turned more normal.
Chuck, can you come and help me with my closet?
He can't do that.
He's like, we'll have to label it.
There's limits on his ability.
Well, I will have to say that the inspector complimented, Lincoln County for utilizing this program. He said it's one of the best programs in Rod and Chuck were definitely on
I
the
think
right
this is-
track.
This is what this board wants to see.
Yeah.
Right.
More.
Oh,
This
yes.
is-
I got more, I got all kinds of stuff, but I'm gonna limit it to a little bit at a time, because I don't wanna ask too much.
You don't want
Next group. Just a couple of, next one. Just a couple of little things that I wanted to point out. To all of you know, or most of you should probably have heard. One of the things too that happened when I came here, when I started the position, there was, I think 5 buses that had digital cameras on it. The digital cameras that were on them before, I remember you were on the board at the time, I came and asked, Steve, I think you were too. But there was one camera in front. That was it. And all the rest of them were the old VHS that you plug in. You couldn't see. Something happened on the back of the bus, something happened on the front of the bus. It wasn't covered. Our drivers weren't protected. Our students weren't able to be disciplined because you couldn't see anything. So we made it a priority, really, to try to convert this to something that was usable. And this is just a snapshot. But you can see most of our buses now, we have a picture of the driver and down the stairwell in case somebody tries to get on the bus so that we can see that. That's in the middle top one. Over on the left, on the top, you can see the views into the seats. This one is in the back. But the thing that I like the most is the 2 bottom ones on the right. Because as you guys know, there's too many times that people pass our bus when our stoplights are out. Now the state police has been really good to work with us. If I take a picture like this and take it to the state police, they go give them a ticket. And it's a pretty hefty ticket, and I believe, I'm not a lawyer, but I believe they lose their license for a period of time. From the time that we started this, and this initiative came down from the state, we're not seeing it as often, but we still see it. But we're able to protect our kids because you can see, and this is just somebody that's passing by. This is not somebody that run a light, but you can see that how clear the license plate is. And in the little red lighting, it will say that the stop arm's activated so that the police will know. It'll give, in the top right corner on most of them, it'll give you a location. And it'll give you the date. And usually, like I said, this is not one, but the middle one on the bottom, you can see the little stop arm thing sticking out too. I'm sorry. The little stop arm thing sticking out so that you can use that. But that's been a big plus. Hit the next one, please.
Another thing that we've done since we started, this has been some up and down kind of stuff, but when I first came, if we had an accident, if something happened and the driver had to be tested for alcohol test or blood test, whatever you want to call it, they started, but if there was an accident, they drove that evening. And it didn't make sense to tell you the truth. So we called Ben Shue, who was the state director, he's retired now, officially. And I asked him, I said, Ben, this is what we've done here. I says, can they drive? He says, how do you know they're okay? So I took it to me, anytime that we had an accident, anytime somebody then they couldn't drive. You know, they gotta not drive until the results come back. Usually it takes about 3 days, sometimes it takes 4. One of the things that we've done recently is if that happens, rather than them sitting home, not doing anything, I will require them to come in to work on those days that they're off. In the past, we really haven't had, we've had, let's see, how do I say this, practices maybe, not necessarily procedures, but unwritten practices that we followed in case of an accident, which meant you have an accident, there's another car involved, this or that, then you have to be blood tested. Well, what we've come up with, and I haven't given this to the drivers yet, I wanted to share it with you guys first, and I have given it to Ms. Lucas and Jeff, and one of our lawyers looked at it, and she seemed to think it was okay. But what we have is on this paper, and I couldn't get it to fit on that so that you could see it, but on this one, it has our procedures that we want to follow. I have a form for them that if there's an accident, this is the information that they need to get from the other driver. And I also have this one that I'm going to have them post in their bus or have it located in the bus. If there's an accident, these are the things that you need to do, so that it lists out for them what they have. Specifically on the first one, about that third little line down, it says drug and alcohol tests must be administered after an accident when, and then it gives those times that they must, so that we have something in writing, so that we know, or they know, if this happens, and that's what they need to follow.